So listen, I'm going to get moving into this. There's going to be some more people coming through, I hope, as the afternoon goes on. Let me take you into the first slide. I love the way this works. So first of all, my name is Jeff Lewis. Good afternoon. I'm the Vice President of Product Management and Product Development for Comcast Business. I have responsibility for connectivity solutions. And the purpose of our conversation today is to talk about the marriage between Microsoft products and capabilities that they offer, and what a network service provider has to do in terms of enabling customers and what's going on in the customer world. While we talk about circuit to the edge, in actuality, a lot of this is really about the digital transformation of what's going on with customers. We hear a lot about digital transformation. People talk about digital transformation a lot. One of the angles that I wanted to offer to you guys today was through the lens of an actual customer, whether they be a small business customer or a little bit more for consuming some of the services that we offer in here, a medium-sized business, and everybody slices and dices their particular segmentation differently. But imagine a small business is very, very small. They probably get a telecom spend less than $2,000 a year, right? They spend about $100, $150 a month. They need an awful lot of help from service providers like us. When you start moving up the value chain, if you will, in terms of larger type customers, they need probably more help because, believe it or not, they're running larger businesses. They're not quite the large IT enterprise shop that you might be used to with some of the bigger names. But the challenges that they have are no different, and sometimes their IT shops are incredibly small. And so we get lost in an absolutely magnificent conference like this in terms of all the things that we can deliver to customers, but how customers actually consume these things is very, very challenging at times. And so from a Comcast perspective, or Comcast Business where I work, one of the things is to make people aware of what Comcast Business does, where we've been, where we're going. And in a lot of ways, a lot of customers out there and a lot of people who make network decisions, they don't really know Comcast Business terribly well. So first of all, real quickly, Microsoft Office 365, I have a slide in a second. We're one of the longest providers, partners of Microsoft in this space, delivering it to small business and medium-sized businesses. We'll show you what we do at Microsoft there. Our direct-to-cloud, ever since Azure came to life, we've been providing a very, very robust layer 2 solution in Azure. We stand toe-to-toe with all of our competitors in that particular space. It's a very resilient solution, but we're going to talk about where that approach is shifting as network needs and network demands have shifted as new technology has come in. The ActiveCore reference there is a term a lot of people are getting their arms around what ActiveCore is. It's a Comcast branded software-defined networking trademark. Suffice it to say, the first element underneath that is our software-defined wide area networking solution. And it's really, really important, or at least we as a service provider believe it's really important as these networks start evolving, and I'm going to show you why, or at least try to expose you to why. And then lastly, what we do with our voice solutions as they integrate into Office 365, it's kind of trivial to say everybody's doing it, but everybody's doing it. It's an important thing from a productivity capability, so customers who consume multiple services, in particular with Microsoft productivity services, they can use their voice in an integrated fashion. Real quickly, from the Office 365 perspective, you guys can read this. If I was a small business customer, I would be all over this, right? I have absolutely no time to do any of these things. Things like price lock. I see this from very, very, very large customers. Predictability of what my costs are going to be, what my prices are going to be for a long time, lets them plan. Our ability to partner with Microsoft was pretty special in this regard, and that's a really big value add to customers. Support for everyone. Anybody can call for help. It doesn't have to be the one IT shop, irrespective of the size of the business. Anybody can call for support. The white glove onboarding is really important to help the people get into the mode of productivity real quickly. But then lastly, and never to be understated, again, remember, we're the service provider. We provide multiple products and services to our customers. One bill, everybody wants one bill, right? It's the easiest thing in the world to do. It's hard for people like us to pull it off, but with Microsoft, we're able to do it. Now, an interesting juxtaposition just to build into the next couple of slides on network, because again, all of these magnificent capabilities in a lot of ways, and I don't know every one of these applications that are out here on the floor, but in order to be able to leverage a lot of these capabilities, you got to be connected to something. And so while networking, and while I love it, and it's what I've been doing forever, it might not be the sexy, interesting, flashy thing, it is the thing that powers how a lot of these applications and services work. The very first thing off to my left-hand side, your right, or the vice versa, is the fact that a lot of people don't recognize that Comcast has been in the space of delivering Ethernet services for about 7, 8 years. over the last 3 to 4 years, we've been the #1 organic growth company in the industry. Think about that. We are growing faster than AT&T, faster than Verizon, faster than CenturyLink. That's an interesting thing for us. It's an interesting thing for customers. They're consuming our Ethernet services. Remember I said the direct to cloud, that's an Ethernet service. Customers are consuming that more and more and more. What also is interesting, and you can kind of pull it out in the bottom of that middle reference, is Microsoft Azure is also the fastest growing cloud service in the space, right? The cloud consumption is growing astronomically. It's not exactly the world that I'm in, but I certainly serve customers who want to get access to it. But Microsoft is growing the fastest in its space. I find that fascinating. And all the various capabilities that Azure allows customers to take advantage of is what we enable and empower for our customers. Now, having said that, again, back to networking, because you got to connect all these things together. You have customers who, in, let's say, old networks being 2, 3, 4 years old, I'll throw an acronym out. Most of you probably know what it is, MPLS. I built an MPLS network that's part of AT&T today quite some time ago. I don't want to tell you how long ago, but it was a long time ago. Hub and spoke network, kind of a flattish, it is a smart network. It created the concept of internet drains. You bring things back to corporate data centers or to headquarters. You would pump out. Direct to cloud made an awful lot of sense in those types of networks. The ability to connect out from the local branch was almost non-existent. And I can say that because as we've rolled out our SD-WAN product over the last 2 years, I've gone back to these customers with our sales teams, and they're still in the same networks. So as much as we talk about all these amazing things that are going on out here, to ground all of us, customers are still fighting their way through digital transformation and how do they consume all of these services to make their products and capabilities that much better for their end customers, right? It's not every single one of these applications, but it's an awful lot of them. Businesses that you would think would be incredibly mature, that would be very, very on top of and leading in this space, they're not. They're fighting their way through it. They're all consuming cloud services in one way, shape, or form, but it's not ubiquitous. And so what they're faced with is, you got the public internet access. Well, in an MPLS world, what did that mean? Well, that means you had to put in specific routers, you had to connect internet access. The routing in between those things was almost non-existent, and the majority of customers that we've run across still use it as backup. It was like a cold or a hot standby. They weren't using it. So it's not really, it wasn't something in that architectural construct that was readily available for customers to go, great, I'm going to go get public access for my cloud services. And so they were still using the private, which you see on the bottom. There's a lot of goodness around that, but it drove certain network architectures, okay? And you can read the differences between our direct-to-cloud and our EDI, all fiber-based solutions. You can also get this through broadband, all right? I'm not here to talk about broadband, but if you have a good, resilient IP backbone and you deliver really fast broadband like we do, you could substitute fiber for broadband and it would work just the same. But in that old construct, it was really difficult for customers to be able to leverage it. So what's happening? And I know this is a couple of words. I tried to simplify it a little bit, but there's 3 simple buckets. There's actually probably another 12 items that we could kick around for any one particular customer. The first one is digital transformation is driving up network demands. Well, that's pretty obvious, all right? The more they move, the more they evolve, the more they change. You know, we had a customer that I talked to. It was a tire business. I'll just say that. It's where we all go to buy tires. You sit in the office for 2 hours, you wait for them to change their tires, and then you drive home. The CIO of that business called that business the worst business in the world to be in. He said it's a grudge buy. I said, why do you think it's a grudge buy? And he says, because there isn't one customer who likes to come in, they have to buy a set of 4 new tires. And worst yet, you sit in his office, or rather in the waiting room, for 2 hours, and you don't know what's going on. If you're a mom or a dad and you get little kids, and this guy, now this was last year, and I won't tell you the brand, I'm probably violating, so I won't tell you the brands, but he had 7 brands that this company represented. They offered 768K amenity Wi-Fi in their waiting rooms, and they did not have HDTV in those offices. They were an MPLS-based company. They had at most 2 T1s running into this network, and most of their branch offices had 1. That's at most 3 megabits, at most. And this guy had a catalog a mile wide that he would have to update every night of all the various pieces and parts that they would use to do their business, because they did a little bit more than just tires. In that room, we were talking about why aren't you looking at broadband? Why aren't you looking at EDI, our Ethernet Internet Access product? Why are you not doing these things? And he asked his team, well, what would you do if I gave you 10 megabits? And they wouldn't answer. They couldn't respond. And he said, all right, fine. What if I gave you 20? To cut right to the chase, this IT shop, very, very smart individuals, were so constricted and so proud of how they had designed their network that consuming cloud-based service, forget about what's going on out here. They were in their micro world, 768 locations across the United States in a 1.5 megabit network. I don't know how anybody could consume anything out here in that type of a world. But then one brave soul, when the boss said, what if I gave you, I think it was 50 meg, because that's like the slowest speed we offer. The guy raised his hand and he says, well, we could talk about the store of the future. And then it just all broke open from there. Okay, it just all broke open. They started talking about the Wi-Fi experience, the video experience, 4K video coming down, to talk about what's going on inside of the car, what's a tire change, what's a brake change, what's going on. How do you interact with customers differently? And so when you hear about digital transformation, there's a lot of different things going on inside of there, but the reality is it is massively changing what's going on, but these businesses have to come through it at their own pace, okay? Disparate locations need to perform as one. You can't say this enough. In an MPLS world, I'm not bashing MPLS, by the way, because over here, hybrid networks mean, guess what? You connect to MPLS networks. You provide more capacity, you provide more visibility, but over here, what's happening is, and this happens every single day, businesses are looking for their branch offices. Like I just said, 768 stores, they all look like small businesses. They're distributed all over the place. They're all small businesses, but you wouldn't characterize these brands as a small business brand, right? Why in the world do these guys have to run all their data back to a corporate headquarters to be able to get out over a layer 2 cloud solution? Why in the world would you have to do that, right? But you can't do it in those old networks. Hybrid networks, where the productivity of the branch becomes the number one thing you got to do. That's not the only reason, but it's a major driver. And that's where the inception of SDN and NFV start coming in, or more specifically SD-WAN. Everybody and their grandmother offers an SD-WAN solution, right? There's like 60, by our last count, there was like 68 or 69 different options open into the industry. There's probably more coming up every single day, right? I'm not here to talk about SD-WAN, I'm here to talk about what that means in terms of this transformation so that people and customers can start using cloud services in a more ubiquitous manner, right? And then finally, the hybrid WAN's connectivity at the edge, driving up the use of broadband internet access at the edge to be able to leverage both private and public, and now you start getting some routing differences. So if I flip to this one, the world that we lived in, and many customers, despite hype that we all read and that we all see, they're all living over here. And they're all trying to get over here in one way, shape, or another. And even over here kind of looks like sort of a stack up of boxes. The way Comcast Business sees it is, it's all software. It's all coming together, best of breed, best partners that you could offer. But a lot of customers are over here. We got to get them over here, and we got to get them over there for this. So I built up that story of the branch. I built up that story of I didn't say the word, but I'll say it now, visibility. Because if you start talking about things in the networking world, local internet breakout, internet access at the branch, smart, resilient, fast VPN services that can connect all these sites, well, you could do private layer 2 if you wanted. You can do, quote, private layer 3. Some folks tout they can do that right now. That's a different conversation. Or you can do public cloud, which a whole bunch of our customers like to take advantage of. When you start driving in a software-defined world, it's a natural evolution with everything that you see here, because in this world, unlike the old world, MPLS, you actually can see where the applications are going. You can actually see how the applications are performing. You can route network on what the application is doing and what they're seeing. You can have resilient, redundant networks. There's almost no end of what you can do by setting policy in this world, but visibility is the key. Visibility is the key. And while I haven't necessarily seen it just yet to go ta-da, every single one of these virtualized services that come into our SDN infrastructure, and I hope everybody else's, I don't really mind so much what they do, but what we do, all of these things interact into a single pane of glass, so you know what's happening to your applications over any media. It's that important to the end user. And then on top of everything else, think about what happens as we start getting into mobile devices. Right? We actually went mobile first, but if you give a network administrator who cares about what's going on with their productivity applications, in the case of connecting to Azure and whatever they're doing in the Microsoft world, they want to be able to see it. They want alerts, they want alarms, they want notifications, they want to know something proactive is happening to fix it. I don't believe anybody else has this, so back to the hi, we're Comcast Business, the idea of being able to map both the desktop plus the mobile app with the exact same inferences and the exact same information is very, very powerful for customers. The idea of having the network in the palm of your hand is pretty powerful. And then real quickly, kind of closing in on the topic of SD-WAN again, it's sort of this natural marriage. If you think about how businesses have evolved, if you think about older networks, MPLS networks, if you accept the reality that a lot of businesses today, when you get out of the small business space, small businesses, they're just fighting every single day with broadband access, right? And so public cloud access for them makes all the sense in the world. In fact, it's really the only thing they really can do. But as you start moving up into more sophisticated networks, we've got businesses all over the place in various stages of evolution. SD-WAN is where they're all going to, but how that manifests and why what you see out here and what you see with Azure connectivity matters so much for those businesses is what SD-WAN gives you. I won't read all the words, I've sort of said the majority of these pieces. I think this particular data from last year from Cisco is pretty powerful, where again, we're sort of in the belly of the beast where everything is going to the cloud. Well, guess what? Research and indications are all happening. 2021 is not that far away, right? Is it going to be 100% of a business's applications all come out of the cloud? Probably not, right? So the ability to see it, act on it, move it is super important. Right here, the cloud-based traffic so that the edge devices and data centers, this is an interesting thing that I'll leave you with, because you guys actually, I'm looking at your eyes, you guys actually seem like you're sort of intrigued or interested or curious or wondering what the hell I'm talking about. But there's this fun little thing that's going on too. There's devices that go on the customer's premises. Every single provider who delivers software-defined services to a business delivers something called UCPE. And there's really no line of sight where that's going to evaporate anytime soon. Everybody's trying to get everything into the cloud. It kind of maneuvers around. One of the interesting things that's going on is, and I'm not suggesting this of Azure or anybody else in the cloud space, it's just this interesting model when you think about networking and when you think about connectivity delivery for customers, it's really, really important. You hear all this stuff about the edge. So back to the title of our presentation. Some people talked about the edge being over here. The edge of what? The edge of the cloud. And then the edge started moving. Well, maybe it's the edge of my network. Guess where the edge is moving to right now? It's moving all the way down to there. The industry's starting to come up with fun little terms like far edge, pico edge. The industry's also looking at, guess what this thing is? That thing's really a server. What if we could give space within that store and compute device is what I call it, but give space within that server so that you could actually put a development capability inside of there for somebody like Azure or for some independent developer to be able to run their far edge services here, communicating back into the cloud. This is what's starting to happen in the industry all the way around us, and that's why the combination of what customers are consuming, the actual application itself, the productivity enhancement, or the store and compute up here where the customers are actually running their applications in Azure's world, but being able to tie that together to the business's function in a very, very survivable way is why the marriage between those applications and network means so much. And I believe on that, I'm going to invite you to come by our booth if you're here tonight or tomorrow. Again, my name is Jeff. Thank you very, very much for attending and for your attention. Oh, you want to do it?